Mr. Speaker, sir, I also rise to express my deep concern, distress, and lodge my protest against the statement that has been issued by our Honorable Chief Minister for issuing work permits to Bangladeshis. So in foreign relations, they often say that you can choose your friends, but you cannot choose your neighbors. Well, we all have to develop friendly ties with our neighbors, but then, sir, not without fortifying our state, our boundaries, and especially our very own people. So just the other day, we had a motion to discuss thoroughly on the unemployment crisis in the state, sir. And we had debated on issues that will benefit our youth and the future of our state. According to the Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy, India's unemployment rate, sir, as on April 10th this year, is at 6.5%. And Meghalaya's unemployment rate is 6.8%, sir, which is alarmingly higher than the national average. So looking at these figures and the debates and discussions that we already had in this house, we had high hopes that the government of the day would have negotiated, even demanded from the central government to provide more avenues for our youths in the central government offices in our state, so that they can be either directly or indirectly employed in these central government offices. So we all know the implications of the implementation of the National Population Register in Assam. Many families will be dislocated, and we will not be surprised, sir, if these families are not Indian nationals. With the statement that has been issued by the Honorable Chief Minister, sir, won't this be an opening a floodgate to allow all these dislocated families to invite them to our state? Sir, the very statement and the very thought as expressed by the Honourable Member from Mawsynram, sir, it is an insult to an injury, sir. However, we see that the government was quick to give ideas to the centre on how to improve foreign relations with a neighbour, but then it was quiet when it had to stand for our youth and our youth who are running from pillar to post trying to feed their families. So I would suggest that we should not come up with such ideas, sir, that will only lead to misgivings and create unnecessary stress, sir, in an environment that we are already overburdened with pain caused by illegal migration, sir. So with these few words, I would like to request the government today, sir, and the Honourable Chief Minister to kindly clarify so that we will know on the policy that the government would be adopting and the real stand of the Honourable Chief Minister, sir. With these few words, sir, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Next item number 5, general discussion on the budget. Mr. George Lyngdoh.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to participate in this discussion on the budget that has been placed by the Honourable Chief Minister, sir. And there are some critical points that I would like to point out before this August House and would like to bring to the notice of the Honourable Chief Minister. So in terms of the Education Department, sir, we have seen an increase in the allocation, sir, from 909.94 last year, 17-18, to 969.64, sir. However, sir, there's a serious concern in the way that things are being implemented across the state, sir, especially in terms of books. So I have with me a copy of this book, quote, Ki Maupundon Hakabakhen Jingai, workbook class 2, which is a maths workbook, sir, that has been prescribed by the Embos Tura, sir. So this book is supposedly to be a Khasi workbook for maths, and the publisher is one MS Meghalaya bookstall. And so surprisingly, the writers, I'd like to. The author of this book is one Dr. Pankaja Das, MSc, PhD. Editors, one Naba Kanta Pathak, MSc, AMIE, and one Abdul Majid, BSc. Language editor, sir, being a Khasi book. One Dipali Daimari, MA in English, B.Ed. And another Priyanki Ghosh, MCA, sir, English and IT lecturer, sir. Sir, this is a Khasi book. Himaukandon Habaken Jinkai, if I have a translation of it, it's Steps to Mathematics, Workbook Class 2. I've gone through this book, sir, and it is such a pathetic situation to see the grammar, the language, and the, if I may use this word, sir, an insult to Khasi literature, sir. None of these authors, editors and language editors have any proficiency in Khasi language. I don't know, sir, if the education department runs in this manner, sir. I don't see any logic of increasing its allocation, sir, from 909 to 969 crores if this is the manner in which books are being prescribed by the MBO, sir. And sir, just the other day we had talked extensively about the diet units that have been, or the diet centers that are across the state, sir. Their infrastructure are in a very pathetic situation, sir. And many women teachers who are residing in these diet centers have to rent apartments outside the diet centers. They don't dare to stay in these centers because the electricity is not done in a proper manner. Some circuiting have happened, and there are leakages in these centers. So the quality of government schools, there is no mechanism to check or monitor the quality of teachers, whether they are present in the schools, whether they have been made accountable for the quality of the teaching. And surprisingly, sir, there is a huge number of schools that have very low enrollment, sir, government schools. So maybe perhaps the Chief Minister would like to redeploy the resources that have been allocated to the Education Department, sir, in a manner that will help other schools to come up, other schools that have better enrollment, as had been mentioned the other day by our Honourable Member from Nagpur, sir. So there's also a serious concern that has been expressed by many citizens across the city and the state, sir, with the coming up of private schools. So it is a welcoming step to see private investors coming up and opening schools and colleges across the state, sir. But then many of these schools lack proper infrastructure, they lack proper quality teachers. So perhaps, as that has been done in several states, state governments have come up with bills to regulate the private schools, sir. Perhaps our state government may also think of this idea and we see the bills that have been placed and laws that have been enacted in several state governments, sir. So when I come to PHE department, sir, last year the allocation was 343.638 crores, sir, and this year, sir, the allocation has come down by 57.54, sir. So just yesterday our Honourable Chief Minister was suggesting and mentioning that water is a top priority for this government, sir. But then with this decrease in the allocation, I don't know how the schemes will be executed, sir. Because this decrease in the allocation will definitely affect the functioning of the department. And now if I take my constituency into account, sir, many hamlets are without proper water because the pipes are not functioning, they are rusted, they are broken. And now we are running from pillar to post to find potable water. Schemes that have outlived the lifespan of 15 years need to be relooked. But then, sir, with this decrease in allocation, I really am concerned as to how the department will function, sir. Sir, coming to health department, sir, I would like to suggest that there should be a strong concern over the drug menace across the state, sir. I have some figures that I have collected from the various NGOs that are running these rehab centers, and alarmingly, sir, these figures are running into thousands. 4,000, 5,000 drug addicts are being rehabilitated in these NGOs. But sir, the tentacles of drug peddlers have started to crawl across the state. Just the other day, even in our Nongpo area also, sir, some drug peddlers were arrested. But then, sir, now rehabilitation is a real concern, sir, because the drug menace has really affected many families. They are being destroyed emotionally, financially, physically, sir. And we need a lot of stress on this because, sir, it is affecting children. At the age of 11 and 12, they are becoming drug addicts. So I would like to call upon the attention of the Honourable Chief Minister, sir, to kindly take note of this and to ensure an effective and concrete steps to be taken to tackle the drug menace. Another concern, sir, which relates to drugs, but then maybe it comes under the Home Department, sir, the anti-narcotics team, sir. Many peddlers have been arrested, but then it is a concern that these peddlers, these small-time peddlers, are again back in the streets after a few days because it is a bailable arrest. So stringent laws have to be framed, and these kingpins are nowhere to be found. Who's behind this entire network of drugs is yet to be known, sir, and the kingpins are out in the streets. So I would also like to bring to the notice of the Honourable Health Minister and the Chief Minister, sir. We already have a system of the 108, sir, I think, which was implemented when the Honourable Chief Minister was Finance Minister, and in 2008 they had brought the AMRI 108. Since that time, sir, this effort has been applauded by citizens across the state. But then, sir, now the 108 functions with only 46 to 48 ambulances. And parallelly, we are seeing the NHM coming with more than 100 ambulances. So it is a known fact that the paramedics that are being deployed in the 108 ambulances are trained. They are professionals in handling any kind of medical emergency that arises. But then, sir, putting a driver in a van that is written ambulance does not mean he is an expert or a professional paramedic. I don't see any logic, sir, in running two parallel systems, which will only create problem to the state, sir. Just on the other day, sir, on Monday, there was a very unfortunate incident on the Shillong bypass. In the Shillong bypass, sir, 4 precious lives have been lost when a truck collided with a Tata Sumo coming from Gentiles. A small child of 2 years old lost her parents there on the spot. But then, sir, when it came to the response team, there was only 108 there in CHC Borumbong. And the other ambulance, sir, the person who was manning the ambulance is untrained. And the villagers and the residents of that particular area had to put the travelers on some of their own vehicles just to rush them to the nearest hospital. Some of them died on the spot. Some have succumbed to their injuries. So, unprofessional handling of medical emergency is not wanted, sir. Having 113 or 114 ambulances under NHM just by labeling them ambulance does not mean we are professionally handling this situation, sir. That's why, sir, there's a need also to have these stabilization centers. Because as per medical knowledge, sir, and in consultation with some of the experts, 1 hour after any incident happens, the stabilization is required, even for any surgeon or any expert paramedic to treat the patients. These stabilization centers will help to attend to these casualties that are happening. Yes, and we had a long discussion on the state highways, the national highways, the Shillong bypass. So we need to attend to this. And so with the increased allocation for health, sir, from nearly 420 crores to 613 crores, with this amount, sir, I hope the Chief Minister will look into this, sir. because it is a real concern, especially for me coming from a constituency that is seeing accidents happening every alternate day, sir. Every alternate day we are either having an accident, some injuries, or some people dying on the streets. Sir, coming to CNRD department, sir, even though the allocation has been decreased, so there's a serious concern over the socio-economic and caste census 2011. So there is a lot of contest on the beneficiaries that has been listed and identified as per the SCCC. Because now, sir, after 7 years of the SCCC, we are seeing that wrongful beneficiaries have been included and the rightful ones have been excluded, sir. As we had done earlier, sir, for the BPL census, there was also the relook at the list, and some beneficiaries that have been wrongly listed in the list have been brought out of the list, and equal number of persons or households are included in the list. This same exercise needs to be repeated and perhaps urgently, so that the SCCC can be reviewed and the rightful beneficiaries and households can be included, so that they get their share or whatever entitlements that they have to get, sir, under the rural development program, sir. So, under the MGNRGA, as has been extensively mentioned by the Honourable Chief Minister, sir, in the Governor's address, he had mentioned many infrastructure coming, nearly 1.9 lakh infrastructure coming for the livestock, sir. Since infrastructure is allowed under the MGNRGA, sir, maybe the Honourable Chief Minister may like to explore the idea of rural housing through MGNRGA, sir. Because the pace at which the thatch houses are coming up in our hamlets cannot, so it has outpaced the way at which we are providing rural houses to our citizens. Perhaps if we can cover rural housing through MGNRGA, perhaps not to the extent of 1.5 lakh as being given by under the PMAY, but sir, a low-cost housing under MGNRGA will be a blessing to many households across the state, sir. We are seeing our families living in damp houses, in floors that could not be covered either by cement or any kind of layer that will give them warmth, and they are exposed to rain, and especially at this season, so we are seeing a lot of many families that have been disrupted by the hailstorms. So providing them good houses through MGNRGA is an idea that can be explored by the Honourable Chief Minister. Maybe he may talk to the Ministry of Rural Development of including this as a permissible work under the Act, sir. So, one concern, sir, is the fund flow. So, we all know now, sir, that the wages under the MGNRGA comes directly from the national AFMS directly to the account of the beneficiaries or the VECs. But then, sir, the other component of material payments and administrative payments, that still comes to the State Finance Department, sir. And as per experience, sir, it takes at least 2 months after the amount has been credited into the state account, sir. It takes 2 months for the amount to go into the State Employment Guarantee Fund, which is a special corpus or special account that has been kept for deploying these resources across the state, sir. So 2 months is a very long time, and now we could see the works are being affected. The way that these works, the completion rates are being affected, sir. And this is also affecting especially the blocks that have come up recently. So we need to shift those villages from the previous block to the new block. But then if the payments are not clear, especially the material payments, if they are not cleared, sir, these works cannot be shown as completed. And they cannot be shown completed because now the materials are yet to be paid. So, sir, on a fast track, sir, especially for those villages that have to be shifted to the new blocks, which will be affecting all the 8 to 9 blocks that have recently come up, sir, we need to ensure that the fund that comes from the Government of India to the state finance and from state finance to the SEGF needs to be fastened, and a process may be worked out, sir, to ensure that this delay is cut down. So we are seeing an increased allocation for fisheries from 37 crores of the previous year to 58 crores. So in the reply that was given by the Honourable Minister on the quantum of fish that is being produced by the state, sir. I'm not sure as to whether paddy fish has been included or not in the quantity that is being produced, sir, in the production of the state, sir. So I would like to bring to the notice of the government, sir, that paddy fish is very, very famous, especially in the areas where paddy is grown. Simultaneously, sir, this activity also goes on. And for 3 to 4 months, people go for fish harvest. It is a fest. Women and youths, they go to these canals and they pick up the paddy fish. There are 4 varieties that are very famous, sir, especially in the Ribhoi region. We have the Danio species. In the local language, we call them shalanai. We have the chana fish, which in the local language we call dothli. We have the catfish, which we call the dokmukur, and the eels, which is the khabseng in the local language. These species are very famous. And per kilo, it is costing, only this Danio species, per kilo it is costing 300 rupees. And for a span of 3 to 4 months, it is a livelihood that can really be explored. But then, sir, we have seen the practice of the Fisheries Department, sir, where they have encouraged digging of fish ponds in paddy field. So this is again against this practice that has been carried out for ages and for centuries, and our ancestors have handed it down to us, sir. And the ecosystem also allows. Why, sir, go against the ecosystem? When paddy and fish can coexist, I would like to urge upon the Fisheries Department through the Honourable Minister Fisheries, sir, that this activity needs to be harnessed, allow breeding of the fishes, especially the species that can come up in these paddy fields, to be enhanced and distributed to all the farmers, the paddy farmers across the state, sir. This will allow a lot of economic activity, enhance the production of fish at the same time, and as well as we won't disrupt the ecosystem and the ecology of the areas as well. So it can also be promoted as a rural tourism activity, sir, because we should see the happiness of how people, when they come back from paddy fields, they get a lot of harvest of fish. So this is also one thing which can be explored. So coming to sericulture department, sir, we have a lot of sericulture activity in Ribhoi and some parts of the state, sir, especially as had been mentioned by the honourable member from Nongpok the other day, sir. Farmers are planting mulberry trees. A lot of mulberry saplings have been given. And silkworms also have been reared, eri, muga, and based on the feasibility, sir. But then one problem that is being faced by the weavers and the planters is that disease is affecting the worms. So with the disease affecting, the yarn quality is also being affected. So sericulture is a very important livelihood for many, especially for the women, sir. That's why now these weavers are being forced to buy or purchase the yarn from outside the state, which is not only depleting the resources, but at the same time it is also increasing the input costs. Therefore, it will raise the cost of the product. So therefore, sir, this concern may kindly be noted by the Honourable Minister in charge sericulture, so that, sir, this can be attended to at the earliest. So coming to the airport, which has been a matter of concern for the state government for the past few years and also for this present government, sir. So the budget speech has a small mention of the airport expansion, but then, sir, it needs more than that. After being sworn in as an MLA, sir, I had had about 9 meetings with several officers and people responsible for the expansion of the airport. I also had a meeting with the defense authorities there in Umroi cantonment, sir. So I would like to bring to the notice of this August House, sir, that there is a road that has been constructed outside the boundary wall of the airport. And there are concerns about this road. There are 8 corners that, sir, have been at right angles, totally blinded. There is no line of sight. and we can't see any incoming or incoming traffic, and people have to turn at right corners because the wall was constructed at right corners. So now this goes totally against the design of roads. It is also endangering the lives of the commuters. How on earth, sir, did the department allow such kind of a construction? So now they are forcing people to go down through this road and not constructing another proposal, sir, which not following up closely with the another proposal which we had thought that will allow people to have another option of passing through the airport, but then outside the current or maybe a different lane that will allow people to commute from Umden Mission Village to the Umroi Bazaar, sir. But then, sir, here, this road has to pass through Defence Authority. Now, sir, in my interaction with the Defence Authority, they have clearly mentioned that they will allow a road to be constructed only to the defence land. They will not allow any public to pass or use that particular road. Now, sir, in the discussion that I've had with the district authorities also, sir, the defence people do not have any document to validate their ownership over this stretch of land. And now they are claiming it. So, defence has shown its high-handedness all the time, especially at this time when, sir, we know that the airport will be required mostly by the defence and the paramilitary, especially in any event of state emergency, sir. Now, sir, parting away with only 5 to 10 acres of land out of 3,000 acres that is being occupied by the Umroi cantonment, I think it won't hurt their whatever activities. So, why are we succumbing to the Ministry of Defence so much when the matter at hand is of utmost priority to the state, to the economy of the state, and also to the people of the area, sir? Now, sir, there is also one concern, sir. It seems that the Honourable High Court, when it had intervened to complete the walls, the state government and the department had informed the Honourable High Court that an amount, all the compensation has already been paid. But then, sir, in 2012, an amount of 11.44 crores was sought as an additional compensation by the deceived boy. But then, sir, right from 2012 till now, this amount has not been disbursed. So I think, sir, the department has misled the High Court. People have been taken for a ride, and this amount still lies pending. We don't know where, sir, whether with the deceived boy or whether it has been refunded to the government. We do not know, sir. So that's why, sir, these concerns of the airport, sir, seeing the speech that has been made to the budget, sir, requires a lot of work. There are many obstacles that have to be cleared before we finally put in the instrument landing system there in the Umroi airport, sir. So I would like to suggest to the Honourable Chief Minister, sir, if this project has to go ahead at the pace at which we require before, especially the coming of the national games, we need to address these critical issues. At the same time, also without disrupting the life of people, sir. Rather than becoming a boon, it may become a bane for the people of the area as well as for the state, sir. So coming to the Information and Public Relations Department, sir, I could see, sir, that there's a slight increase in the allocation from the previous year, sir, from 9.8 crore to 10.74 crores, sir. So, in the Governor's address as well as in the budget speech, the Honourable Chief Minister had clearly mentioned the setting up of the media society. But then, sir, the media society will not function without additional resources, sir. So, the very idea of putting up a media society was to streamline the payment of advertisement bills. Newspapers, media houses have to go or undergo a very, very distressing pattern of processes that their bills remain unpaid for 5 years, 10 years. That is why, sir, the idea of having a media society was to ensure that we will streamline the entire payment system. Apart from having professional services for IEC activities of the government. But then, sir, now if the corpus is not there, sir, how will the society function? So if not to the extent of 5 crores, but at least an amount of 2 crores should be earmarked for the media society that will enable it to function. And the interest payments that are generated from there can also help in garnering some resources for the societies. That's why, sir, I would like to urge upon the Honourable Chief Minister to have a relook at this allocation for the INPR department, sir. If they are serious in implementing the media society, sir, this allocation has to be revised so that the society can function without disrupting the activities of the department that has been going on for several years. At the same time, streamlining the system that has been, that the media society, the media people, the publishers and various other media houses have been screaming for many years together, sir. And so, if they don't have the funds, where will they pay our friends, our media friends?
Honourable Member,
sir?
try to wind up your speech because...
Yes, sir. Nearly done, sir.
Other members will
2 minutes. So, sir, now, sir, I would like to appreciate the government, sir, for earmarking 2.5 crores for the personnel department, sir. This is a step which I really welcome because it will help to create more sense in our sir, government people to address to the needs of the citizens of the state, sir. This actually is very heart rendering and a very welcoming step, sir, because the state government has earned a bad name because of some rotten apples that are serving in the system, and they have not been addressing the issues of the people in a particular manner, sir. And so just the other day, just to bring to the notice of this house, when a particular woman citizen had approached one SDO for electrification of her house, she was insulted, sir. She was insulted. And through her, I have known that she also insulted the legislator. What on earth is happening, sir, to our state? This really, sir, we can only weep at such kind of behavior of our very own staff. The state government is reeling under financial duress just because we have to pay more to our employees. Is this the way that we expect our employees to behave? Sir, we really don't know what we have stooped to, sir. Human etiquettes, forget government etiquettes, sir. Human behavior and etiquettes is expected. That's why, sir, this allocation of 2.5 crore to the personnel department is really a welcoming step to build the soft skills, at least give some standard operating procedures to our government personnel to address the needs of our people and of our state, sir. So with these few submissions, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to place these few concerns regarding the budget, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.